Before this video starts, I just want to say that the lighting in this video is awful. It's very grey, so please forgive me. You can still see the true colour of the shadows, but like my face just looks dead. So hopefully that's not too annoying. I'm still trying to figure out this lighting setup. Anyways, hope you enjoy the video. Hey, so in today's video, I wanted to do a part 2 to my favourite eyeshadow in the palette video that I actually did a couple of years ago now. This original video concept was created by Lacie from Spooky Lips and Fat Hips, and I believe also Georgia Harris. I'll link both of their channels down below. And when I did this video a couple years back, I had a very different eyeshadow collection, and now I believe I have more palettes, or maybe an equal amount, because I do have more single shadow palettes now, and I'm not including single shadows in this, I'm just including standalone actual pre-made palettes. I apologize if the lighting is a bit off in this video. I am filming in broad daylight, so as you can see the sun is kind of shining through, but I prefer using my actual studio light since the lighting is more controlled. But anyways, I will be swatching all of the shadows on my arm right here, and I will be doing a close-up at the very end so you can see everything. So yeah, I'm just gonna go through all my eyeshadow palettes and swatch my favourite shade in each one of them. Let's start off with the brand that I have the most amount of shadows from, and that is Colourpop. I have 3 Colourpop palettes here. The first one being the Colourpop Blue Moon palette, one of my favourite palettes ever. Looks like this. I didn't want to sit down and prepare this video beforehand, like I just wanted to go on camera and do it live with you guys in a way, so like choosing my favourite shadow just right here, so I haven't prepared at all. You know, my favourite shade is the shade that I actually use the most, and it's this one right here called Moonlight. It is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful pale sky blue. Right here, let's put it just there. It's very pretty. I will build up the swatches so you can actually see the colour. It's one of my favourite pastel blues. Let's put it over the tattoo, why not? Also, my swatches may be a bit fucked up, but that's not the point of this video. The point is just to show you guys my favourite shades in the palettes. So that is a Moonlight from Colourpop. Okay, so the next palette is the Colourpop Lilac You A Lot, another one of my favourites. The packaging is always so hard to get open, I swear. They need to change these to cardboard packaging, like all of them, I swear. And my favourite shade in this palette would have to be... I'm looking at it, I'm not too sure. I think my favourite shade in this palette is the shade Iffy up here. I feel like when I'm editing this video, I'm going to be looking at the shades that I chose and just think, Sky, no, this one instead. But Iffy is a beautiful, warm purple. Picked up a lot on my fingers, so it's a bit powdery. This shade is a lot softer than the other shades in this palette because it's a deeper purple, I'm assuming. That's a decent swatch though. Very pretty. I really do love this shade. The next palette is the Colourpop Orangey Glad palette, and this one again is hard to open. But this is what it looks like right here. This one does have a pressed glitter in here, which I've never used. I've only swatched it once, and I don't like using pressed glitter on my eyes, but my favourite shade in this palette, ooh, there's so many options. I mean, I don't really reach for oranges too often, but oh my goodness. Currently it's a tie between Tangerine Dreams, Mimosa Mami, and Sunkissed. Like, those are the 3 shades that I gravitate towards the most. I think if I had to pick, it would have to be Mimosa Mami, because this is the most unique, like, neon coral orange that I own. As you can see right here. This is going to be a very interesting colour scheme, to say the least. Because I have so many different shades and different palettes, this is going to be one wacky colour story, but I actually quite like that. Quite a lot, actually. So that was from the Colourpop Orangey Glad palette, and the next palette, my final palette from Colourpop, is the Colourpop Dream Street palette. This was in collaboration with Kathleen Light. It's one of the first palettes they've come out with, and mine's very beat up. It's very well loved. They don't have this anymore, unfortunately, which is a damn shame. I mean, they had to discontinue it at some point, but this is probably one of the best neutral palettes that I own, and oof, there's so many good options. Now, you would think that I would choose the teal shade right here called Water Bearer. Is it called Water Bearer? Yeah, it is. You'd think I would choose that shade. but I'm not too sure. There's so many options in here that I really do like. As you can tell, I mean, I loved this matte brown at one point. For me, it's a tie between this shade right here and this bright orange. The bright orange is called Spark, and the rose gold is called Twinkle. So I think... I love Twinkle, man. I love Twinkle. It's such a beautiful rose gold shade. So reflective and pretty. I used this in a look pretty recently, actually. And it was so gorgeous. I mean, look at that. So buttery soft. This is what made me fall in love with the Colourpop shimmer formula. So gorgeous. Look at that. Let's move on to the oldest palette in my collection, and that's the ABH Modern Renaissance palette. Damn, this is so old, and you can even tell, like, this is definitely not a colour scheme I would use today. But my favourite shade in this palette, ironically, is the shade Primavera right here. You'd think it would be Love Letter, but no, I love Primavera. It's one of the most pretty pale gold shades in my collection. It's so pretty. I feel like the quality of this palette has declined since I got it a few years ago. But it's still really good. Like, the palette is still pretty good. I will layer this one up a bit more. It does pair really nicely with that rose gold shade from Colourpop, actually. It's a classic palette for a reason. It is very beautiful, very nice formula, but not one that I reach for that much nowadays. Okay, let's move on to a little mini palette. This one is from Fenty. This is the Snap Shadows in the shade number 7 Cadet. Well, in the variant number 7 Cadet, they do have 8 of these. Again, this packaging is annoying to open. What is it with brands and wanting to use packaging that's really difficult to open? But this is what this one looks like. Again, a really nice, small, little neutral palette, but it's also a neutral palette with some interest to it because it has the pop of mustard and this beautiful khaki green. My favourite shade in this palette by far is this mustard shade called She Salute. Oh my goodness. My favourite mustard in my collection. Like, without a shadow of a doubt. Like, look at that. Look at that pigment. It's so good. Super pretty. This colour scheme is all over the place. Oh my goodness. So now that we've finished with my mainstream brand palettes, I want to move on to my indie brand palettes. Yes, I did order this in some form of way. Are you proud of me? So let's start off with my Melt palette collection. The first one being the Melt Radioactive palette. This is a very nice little rainbow neon palette right here. And my favourite shade in this palette is this shade right here called Neon. You know I'm a sucker for yellow. And this is no exception. This is a very nice yellow. I was actually quite shocked. It's very nice. Let's give it a little swatch right here. I love yellow eyeshadow so much. It never swatches the best, but this one does have a slight satin sheen to it, but not enough that you can see on the eyes, so I don't mind working with it. It is a very nice yellow. The next Melt palette is the Smoke Sessions palette. A really nice one that I don't actually use too often because it is majority shimmers. And I think my favourite shade, it's hard to say. It's really hard to say because I am tied between Black Widow right here and also the shades Sweet Tooth and Blue Dream. Oh, I'm not too sure. I'm looking at it right now and I can't really pick. I think the shade that I gravitate most towards is this one right here called Sweet Tooth, so let's swatch that. These metallics are the best metallics Melt has ever done. I mean, I only own 3 of their palettes, but this metallic formula is absolutely stunning, so let's give it a little swatch. They're very soft, and I know a lot of people's Melt palettes, Smoke Sessions in particular, have broken on them, but I've had no issues with my palette, thankfully. It's such a beautiful, soft, metallic green. And the final Melt palette I have is my favourite one of the 3, and it's the Millennial Pinks palette. I got this one for my birthday, and it looks like this. It's very pretty, very gorgeous, and I think my favourite shade in this palette, again, hard to pick because I love all of these tones, specifically this part of the palette right here. I don't really tend to reach for these greys, but I love all of these down here. So my favourite shade, it has to be Flamingo Dream. I'm holding this, what the fuck am I holding this palette? My favourite shade is Flamingo Dream. It's such a beautiful soft pink, like a mid-toned soft pink. It was a bad decision to wear a really puffy woolly jumper, wasn't it? But here is Flamingo Dream. It swatches so nicely. I really like Melt's matte formula. It's very nice and easy to work with. And that is Flamingo Dream right here. The next palette I'm going to be mentioning is the Blush Tribe Hasina 2 palette, which unfortunately Blush Tribe is currently closing down and they're having a going out of business sale. I think this palette is still available if you want to go and snag it before it's completely gone, which is a shame because I really do like Blush Tribe's formula, and my favourite shade in this palette, it's hard to pick. I feel like I said that in every single palette. I'm just like, oh my god, it's so hard to pick. Because I love the shade Re right here. It's a very beautiful teal, although it's not as easy to work with as I would personally like. But I think if I'm looking at like the shades that I reach for the most and the ones that my eye is drawn to, I really love the shade Destiny. I know you'd think I would go for one of these beautiful mattes, which I love their matte formula, but Destiny really, really hits different. It's such a nice metallic purple. Oh, that's pretty. So pretty. Let's do another pass through. It's a nice warm, like more pink toned purple. The other purple shimmers in this palette are more blue toned, but this one leans more pink. Super cute. Super cute. You know, the more I'm looking at this, the more I'm like, yeah, no shit that it's basically a rainbow palette. I mean, are we surprised? I don't think so. Next, I'm going to be swatching my favourite shade from the Nabla Soul Blooming palette. Again, a palette that I have been obsessed with for so long. I love this one, so pretty. My favourite shade easily is the shade Philosophy right here. As you can see, I have a good amount of pan in it. It's the most beautiful duochrome pink green shade. I think this is the shade that introduced me to duochromes. I think, yeah, it must be. I think this was the first duochrome I actually ever used. So pretty. You're not going to be able to see the duochrome on camera, I don't think. I mean, kind of, actually. You can kind of see the pink to green shift a little bit. So gorgeous, so sparkly and reflective. So pretty. I feel like if I ever, like, completely pan that shade, I will most likely rebuy the entire palette for that shade. I mean, I love the entire palette in itself, but I don't think I'd be able to live without Philosophy right here. One of my all-time favorites is the Sugarpill Fun Size palette. It looks like this. It's so gorgeous. Oh my gosh, I'm actually wearing a couple of these shades on my eyes today. I love it. It's such a pretty palette, and I think this is probably the hardest to pick my favorite shade from, because I actually genuinely love every single shade in here. Oof, it's so hard. It's so difficult to pick. I don't know, it changes every single day, but I feel like the shade that I look at the most and I'm gravitated towards the most, I was gonna say Level Up, but then Twitch is also gorgeous, Cheat Code, 8-Bit, Rage Quit, Player One, like these two rows right here, my favorite. I think I'm gonna have to go with 8-Bit as my favorite shade. It's such a pretty periwinkle. It's not periwinkle, it's definitely a cornflower blue. It's so pretty. I know that this is probably the best shade, not the best, but like, it's the most like favorite shade in the palette for a lot of people. Like, everyone that I've seen use this palette say that 8-Bit is their favorite shade. Am I regretting my decision choosing 8-Bit? I mean, the entire palette is essentially my favorite shade in the palette, but it's such a gorgeous, gorgeous blue. Look at that. Look at that. The penultimate palette, which is one of my most loved palettes as well, is the Kaleidos Futurism 5 Electro Turquoise palette. You can even see that the packaging is actually, like, coming off, because I have travelled with this palette and put it in my makeup bag, so it's been rattling around with other products and the packaging has gone a bit messed up, but I love it nonetheless. And oh my goodness, look at this. You can see the big dip in this shade right here. Oh, I don't know which one's my favourite. I don't actually know. It has to be Tron, this one right here. My favorite metallic blue of all time. Look at that sheen. Look at it. Absolutely, seriously gorgeous. I mean, do you see that? Do you see that? Oh my gosh. I seriously, If Kaleidos ever came out with single shadows, I'm buying every single metallic that they ever come out with. And the last palette is my Juvia's Place Tribe palette. I actually used this very recently in a look, and I was reminded how much I'm obsessed with this palette. Like, I fell in love with this, and I did a 3 looks 1 palette with it, but I haven't reached for it in a while, but... oh, it's such a beautiful, grungy, gorgeous colour scheme. Oh, the packaging is so reflective, I shouldn't do that. I'll just hold the palette like this, just so I don't blind you. But I love these mattes down here a lot. Oh, it's hard to pick, but I think I'm gonna have to go with this shade right here. The middle shade is called... what's it called? Chaga. Chaga. And you'd think, Sky, it's a bronze shade. Like, you of all people choosing a bronze shade, but... this has a beautiful green yellow shift to it that you're probably not going to be able to see on camera. Look at that. Oh, you can kind of see right there. It's got a bit of a greenish shift and it's super gorgeous. Oh my goodness. If I'm going to reach for a bronze, I'm going to reach for that one because it's seriously stunning. And yeah, these are all of my favorite shades in all of my eyeshadow palettes, and honestly, I'm not surprised that it's essentially a beautiful rainbow. I mean, if this... can you imagine? I feel like there's some palettes with this exact colour scheme, now that I think about it, because a lot of brands are doing like the whole rainbow palette thing with like a pop of neutral in it, and I think it's very pretty, actually. I wouldn't buy this if it came out as a palette, because I think it's a bit disjointed, but to be fair, my makeup style is disjointed, so in a way it kind of works. I'll run through all of the shade names once more, just in case you are curious. So the first shade right here is Moonlight from the Colourpop Blue Moon palette. The next shade is Iffy from the Colourpop Lilac You A Lot palette. This shade right here is Mimosa Mami from the Colourpop Orange You Glad palette. This one right here is the shade Twinkle from the Dream Street palette. This one right here, this lovely gold, is Primavera from the Modern Renaissance palette. I'm trying to remember these off the top of my head. This one is She Salute from the Fenty Beauty Snap Shadows in the shade number 7 Cadet. This one is Neon from the Melt Radioactive palette. This shade right here is Blue Dream. Is it Blue Dream? Is it Blue Dream? Hang on. Gotta proofread to make sure. It's Sweet Tooth from the Melt Smoke Sessions palette. This shade underneath it, this pink is Pink Flamingo, or Flamingo Dream. Flamingo Dream? Pink Flamingo? Something Flamingo from the Melt Millennial Pinks palette. This beautiful purple is Destiny from the Blush Tribe Hasina 2 palette. This shade right here is Philosophy from the Nabla Soul Blooming. This is 8-Bit from the Sugarpill Fun Size Mini palette. This is Tron from the Kaleidos Futurism 5 Electro Turquoise. And the final shade is Chaga from the Blush Tribe? The Juvia's Place Tribe palette. So yeah, that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Are you surprised with the colours that I chose? My favourite shades in the palette? And if you are doing this at home, please let me know what are your favourite shades in your collection, or like, just do this at home, it's really fun. And I feel like this colour scheme is very, very different to my first video. I actually will link my first video down below, because I think it will be interesting to see the change in tastes. I think I had a lot more purples in the beginning, and like purples and blues, but now it's just a clusterfuck, isn't it? You can follow me on my social media. I have 2 Instagram accounts. I live stream on Twitch 3 times a week, and my Spotify are all linked down below. Also, this eye look is already up on my beauty Instagram, Beauty by Sky, if you are curious. And that is it. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, wash your hands. I hope you're all doing well right now, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.